Hello guys, hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hi, if you are new here, I'm Caroline. Lovely to meet you. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back and watching more of me. From like ages 14 to 17, and then basically I found this other author and I just decided that Best Friends to Lovers was just way too overrated and Enemies to Lovers was just way better. The steaminess, the spiciness, the banter, fantastic. If you like a good chuckle, if you are awkward like me, then you'll probably love these books. I am an awkward person. I tend to always find awkward situations, and awkward situations tend to always happen to me. So that's why I think I could relate a lot to this author's books and the characters in them. And so yeah, that's where I found my solace. But the reason for today's video is unfortunately this author did pass away. Just for quite tragic circumstances, and I really wanted to make this video as a tribute to her and her works, and kind of show you guys why I loved her books. And if you didn't know her books, maybe encourage you to read them, pick them up. I don't know, maybe this video might just be the little, oh, I didn't know this person existed and I'll read her books. Who knows? But the author is C.M. Owens, who also wrote under the pen name Crystal Canning. So she had some, just on my iPad, I only ever got these in Kindle version, which I do regret a lot now because I really want them in hardback. C.M. Owens is a self-published author, so I'm trying to track my hands on her books because I would like them in hardback. It's a bit of a challenge living in Australia. Obviously they're sold on Amazon. Amazon US has stock of them. Amazon Australia does not. Fun things, fun times. But my favorite of hers, so there's two series, one standalone, that are my favorite of hers. So I will go through the first series that I was first introduced to C.M. Owens with, and then the second series, and then the standalone book. So I first actually met C.M. Owens. I never actually met her, but I met her writing through a collection of novellas, I suppose. And the first book was called Kade's Game, and this was part of a college romance collection. And so it's a short book. I think it's about 150 pages, not even. Very short, very quick story, but it's about Kade, who ends up being like a cousin, kind of thing. He is the cousin of the Sterlings, but basically, his name, I think it's Kade Knowles. I don't remember his last name, but he doesn't really become a major player in the Sterling Short series. He's kind of just like the introduction, and then they just kind of die off. But this is a college romance. basically Kade drives into Rhea's like townhouse kind of thing, so she's got nowhere to live. So Kade's dad is like, you are to live with Kade now, and Kade is like this super rich, super entitled guy, and Rhea is like this barely gets by, grateful for anything, has a family secret she's trying to keep hiding kind of person. And yeah, so that's basically how they met, and then they just kind of opposites attract and they fell in love, and that was the end of the book. And so then from there we get introduced to the Sterling Shore series. Kade Colton is his name. So that is the first one. So it's Hooked on the Game. Hooked on the Game, that is the first book. So then you kind of get thrust into the Sterling Shore world, which is basically a beach town kind of thing. And it's like a little pocket, and only like super uber wealthy people live in this little pocket, and the Sterlings are the most wealthy out of everyone, and they're like from old money, like their parents are really wealthy and they grew up in like a really wealthy kind of lifestyle. And so basically the Sterlings consist of Dale, Dane, Dale, Dane, there's a blonde guy. This is really bad. Okay, let's just like continue like in chronological order of the book series, and then I'll tell you who the boys in the Sterling family are. So the second book in the series is Tagged and Ashed. So basically Tag Masters is like a cousin of the Sterlings or something, like he's related somehow, or he's like a friend or something. Grew up with the Sterlings, and he's really wealthy as well, and he's like this just ruggedly good looking guy who girls like throw themselves at. And Ash is basically Billy, who's like the cousin that no one likes, asks Ash to go to his brother's engagement party with him. And so she goes, and she has no idea that Billy's actually like an asshole, as you do. And she basically meets Tag and falls in love with Tag, and it's a bit of instant love, and basically over the space of a weekend they just are in love with each other to the point where they get married and have a baby. Well, not really. Ash has a stalker, and so the stalker kind of causes them to break up, and yeah, so anyway, it's great. Fantastic stuff. So that was that one. And then the third book follows the Sterling boys. So this one has a bit of, it's best friends to lovers, and it has a bit of going back in time. So Rain Knowles is the girl of the Sterling boys, like she's the center of the Sterling boys group. And so Dane Sterling is who Rain has always loved, and he's always loved her. But Dane's brother has always loved Rain as well. And so when they were 18, Rain wrote Dane a letter saying how she loved him and wanted to be with him, and then his brother found the letter and basically ripped it up. So Dane never knew about it. And then Rain unfortunately had breast cancer, and so she drifted apart from them, and it's just beautiful. And so this is like a bit of redemption, like it's got a lot of redemption in it. So this is Rain and Dane's story, and it's so beautiful. And then number 4, I don't know why these are like this. So Rain has a sister road is like off the walls because Dane and Rain end up together, and so he like goes away and he meets this girl who's like everything he's ever dreamed of, but he doesn't realize that it's actually Tria, and she's just changed her hair color and reinvented herself, and it's fantastic. And so basically this is kind of like, I wouldn't say second chance love, but it kind of is in a way, because it's like, you know, they had to have immense heartbreak to find each other. So it's really beautiful. And then number 5 is Breaking Even. And so Rye Clanton is, yeah, it's number 5. I just feel like number 5. But Rye Clanton is the friend of the Sterlings, and he owns this like garage, and he is completely and totally broken. He had this really troublesome childhood that was really, really bad, and he doesn't trust anyone. He can't handle touch. Like it's just like really sad. Like he's really, really broken. And basically he meets Bryn, who is living across the road from him, and she comes from a wealthy family, but they've cut her off, and her ex-husband is like putting more bills in her name, and she's like struggling to make ends meet. And so basically they just kind of prank each other, and these pranks end up turning out to be like the best parts of their days, and it's just probably one of my favorite books. Yeah, I have to say it's one of my favorite books, this one. The pranks that they do, and the way that they actually realize that it's with together that they heal each other's wounds, it's just amazing. The 6th book is called A Redo, and so here in this book it's a second chance love. So Ren is Billy's brother, who was engaged but ended up getting split up, and so Ali kind of comes into town looking for her baby daddy, who she met like 8 years ago. Couldn't remember the name. So basically, yeah, it's a second chance love with the kid, that kind of thing. I don't know. Probably not my favorite one in the whole series, but it still is a really good book. Then we have number 7, which is Triple Dare. Again, probably not my favorite book, but Ruby and Corbin. So Corbin is a Sterling who's always loved Ruby, and Ruby is like a tattoo artist who her dad has always had a thing for Corbin's mum. And not only that, Ruby's actually a type 1 diabetic, and then basically there's like all these secrets that come out why Corbin's dad was trying to stop Ruby and Corbin from being together, and they ended up being together, and it's really nice. And so basically they have a thing, it's called Triple Dare. So they have a thing with each other that like if they dare each other they can like choose not to do it, but if they triple dare each other then they have to do it. And it's not really enemies to lovers, but it's still really spicy. Number 8 is Identical Disaster. So this one's really nice too. So Jax is the personal trainer, I suppose, to all of the Sterlings, and he's a really good friend. And so there's 2 sisters who are, well, they're twins, but daughters of like a rock god. And so Bo is one of them. And so basically she goes to Hawaii on this like vacation in place of her sister, and doesn't realize that her sister was trying to get away from her like Jax, the personal trainer, which was like her sister's like date for the weekend, who she didn't like, and then they end up falling in love, and it's just beautiful. That one was a really good one. Number 9 is Perfectly Toxic. Now this one is without a doubt, hands down, my absolute favorite book in the whole series. I've read this book about 50 times. Love it, love it, love it. It never grows old, and I can get tired of it. It's just and run his father's company because his father was sick, and he's got this giant chip on his shoulder because the doll's name used to carry as much weight as a sterling name, but the Knowleses like threw away their money, and so he's like, you know, he wants to like get back to being sterling level. But he's like him and Rye were friends growing up, and they had really troublesome upbringings, and he's the same, and it's so good. But Bella is like determined to not show. She's like, she doesn't want any of the Sterlings to think she wants a handout, or she's friends with them because of their money or anything like that. So she's like, she won't date any of them in the circle. And so when Ethan first meets her, he thinks he has her pinned as like, you know, the kind of girl that does that, and she's not. And this is so good. I'm probably gonna read it after this video because I love it so much. And so then there's book number 10, which is where's book number 10? Make Me. So this is Dane Sterling, and Dane Sterling is missing a leg. So this is another thing I really wanted to point out about Sam Owens' books. All of her characters, like in her books, one of her characters, her MCs, will have some sort of issue, some sort of disease, some sort of struggle, some sort of proper like health concern, and it's just fantastic. And I just feel like she just doesn't get enough credit for writing books like that because it just makes her character seem more real. And so in Make Me, Dane is missing a leg. Dale is missing a leg. And so basically Harley is a girl who went to school with the Sterlings, but she was the nerd that no one wanted. She basically goes to college and builds herself up and like creates this company that does like video games and laugh and all this stuff. And she's now like as rich as the Sterlings, and she's determined to take down all the girls that bullied her in high school and made her feel bad. That's what she does in this book, and great book. And this is like the second year we can tell I have undergone an outfit change from this intermission. My battery ran dead, and I did not have a spare one charged, so I had to literally wait like a day. So this is all like refilmed. Yay. So the last book that I picked up from my CM Owens tribute video was book number 10, which was Make Me, and that followed Dale Sterling and Harley and their little love story, and that's kind of like a second chance love kind of thing. And so the 11th book in the Sterling Shore series is Taming a Maverick. So Maverick is like the real like larrikin kind of cousin. Like he kind of he's the one that does all of the naughty things. Like he put the app on Bella's phone, and he's the one that kind of takes things really like lightheartedly, and he bought her bananas, which was a hairless cat, because of, you know, certain banter within the book. So Maverick is kind of the jokester of it, and I mean, every group needs a jokester. Like you just can't have a group without a Maverick kind of thing. And so basically in Maverick's book it was a little bit different because Maverick like needed to find someone that was going to ground him. And given he had a lot of trust issues because of his parents' divorce and everything like that, so it needed to be someone pretty special. And so in CM Owen brings Salem. And so basically Salem's dad marries Maverick's mum, or Maverick's dad marries her mum. But either way, like Salem is like a pretty poor person. Like she does not come from the same world that Maverick comes from. And so it's just so interesting to see their dynamic. It is a bit enemies to lovers. I would not say this one was one of my favourite books that she wrote. Maverick was one of my favourite characters, but I feel like Salem really, really one that I really enjoyed as well, now that I think back to it. And then the last book in the series, which I'm so sad because it's 100% the last book in the series, is Talk Nerdy to Me. And yeah, I'm really sad. Just, knowing that this is definitely the last book in the series. I really love this series so much. I read it a lot. I go back to it a lot. But this basically follows Base Masters, who is Tak's cousin, and he what was her name? I can't remember her name. Basically, it's Dane's sister, who's like an estranged sister. She's got like a photographic or photogenic memory. Like, she basically remembers absolutely everything from every single day of her life, and she also has no filter. I can't remember her name, to be honest with you. I haven't read this book in a while. But yeah, so she basically has no filter, so it's really funny because she has no filter, so she just says it as it is, and she just says everything as it is, and it's just like, oh no, you should not say that. That would offend people. Brit, that's her name. But that's what makes her funny, and that's what makes her so honest and so pure, is the fact that she doesn't realize that you're not supposed to say those things to people or behind people's back. But she doesn't say it behind people's back, she says it to their face, which is even better. You just love someone that says it to your face instead of saying it behind your back. But Brit's really innocent, and she participates in the LARP, which Harlan runs because it's her computer company. It's her computer game, so she kind of does those things. And it's really funny because Base Masters is this like bass player, and he's like a singer, like a rock star kind of thing. And obviously there's the breakup, the inevitable breakup in the book, and then to get her back, he like dresses as like a fairy and like goes through the LARP thing all the way for her because she's like a fairy queen, and it's great. It's really, really beautiful. So that's the Sterling Shore series as a whole. It's very, very beautiful, very close to my heart. I really like this series. Like I said, there's a few books, 2 books especially, that I just constantly read. No matter if I'm happy, sad, angry, upset, need a boost, need a anything, I just pick these books up, and they make me just feel nostalgic and happy, and I'm right on my way after I read them. And every time I read them, it's like I'm reading them for the first time, which is great. And then, so the other book that I really, really love by C.M. Owens is called Worth It. And I don't know where it's gone. Where are you, Worth It? But Worth It basically follows this group of 3 girls, they're friends. And one is a jewelry designer, and she unfortunately lost her arm. And like I said at the start, that's what I love so much about C.M. Owens, is all of her characters are perfectly flawed, illnesses and issues, and I'm not just talking like simple things like missing arms and legs and real diseases that are really impactful, and it's just fantastic that she writes about them. And you just love it. I absolutely love it. So Worth It basically follows these 3 friends, and one of the friends, her fiance cheats on her right before she's getting married. And so they go through the wedding process and everything, and then they find out that he was cheating on her with her sister, and I can't remember what couple it was. So from her past life, and that is beautiful to watch and read. Watch because it plays in my head, and read because you're reading it. And so basically Henley is the one who decides she's going to get her ex back, and so that's pretty funny how she does that. And then there's Lydia, who's not as, probably her storyline's not as prominent in this. That's because for a long time I thought there was going to be like a second book in this, but it's not. It's more of a standalone kind of thing. But I highly recommend this book. This is a chick lit at its finest. A lot of good laughs. A lot of good laughs. And the next series that I really like by C.M. Owens is called The Wild Ones. There was only 3 books written in the series, and I don't know if I would say this is one of my. It's strange. Basically, it's these people, and they live like on this really small town, like in this lake kind of thing, and the lake rules the town. And so there's like 2 different sides to the town. So there's like people that live on this side of the lake and people that live on that side of the lake, and they're just wild, like they're wild people, and it's great. It kind of, I don't know, this is gonna sound really weird, but it kind of reminds me of Duck Dynasty, but in a book form. Really weird, but that's kind of how I felt. And they all live in like little cabins, and so basically the first book is called Becoming a Vincent, and so the Vincents live on one side of the lake, and they're like pretty prominent, like they're a pretty prominent family, and so there's just weird. It's Tomahawk. The town is called Tomahawk, and it's just weird. Like it's weird, but it's great in a like a. It's just very unique. There's no other books out there that I can compare these titles to. And so basically, this is like a really beautiful friends to lovers, like best friends to lovers, like really, really beautiful best friends to lovers. If that is a favorite trope of yours, I would consider giving this a read. And then the second book in the series is called, this one's not Kylie and Liam's story. I don't remember who this one follows. Okay, so that's the second book. I don't remember who that one follows. And then the third book is Kylie and Liam's story, and that's this one. So Kylie, it's called Wilder. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't remember what the storyline was. I think, no, this isn't the one. The other one was, I don't know. So anyway, this is the third book in the series. There's only 3 books, so basically it just follows, so there's 3 characters, there's 3 different families, because Tomahawk has 4 corners, so 4 different like main families, and so the first 3 books follows one from each family, and so basically they find love, and yeah, one of them, Kylie and Liam's story is a bit unique in the sense that Kylie kind of leaves Tomahawk, and as she leaves Tomahawk, she meets Liam, who is this like tech billionaire, but like he only ever met people that used him for his money, and then he meets this woman who just doesn't give 2 scraps about his money because she comes from an area where people cared about people, and so he finds that refreshing, and then he ends up moving to Tomahawk and joins in on the shenanigans, and it's just wild. That's why it's called The Wild Ones. But yeah, those are my top 3 favorite series. She did also write a motorcycle club series. I didn't really connect with that as much as what I have with her other series. I just felt, I don't know, I preferred her as a chick lit writer, and she was just funnier. The banter was just funnier in those than what it was in an MC. It's kind of more a heavier story line than what the other 2 were, but that's okay. But yeah, this has been a really, really sad video to make, and it's a very sad chapter to close as well. She's honestly one of my favorite authors that I will continue to keep reading and rereading and rereading and rereading her books. I love them so much, and I just love that I can share that with you, and maybe you can explore it and read some of her books too and fall in love with her. She was truly talented, and I am so sad that she is no longer with us to continue to share her talent, but we can enjoy what she has left us with, and so that's the main thing. I hope you have all enjoyed this video. I know it's probably a bit different. I've never really filmed